Hey, what's up YouTube? Welcome back to a new video. If this is your first time here on the channel, thanks for stopping by. Definitely check out some of my other videos. And if you like what you see, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. I really do believe that in the past, just uttering the word emulation made people look at you like sideways. You kind of got the stank eye if you ever mentioned that word. It was almost like it was a dirty word. People that were emulating games were frowned upon. And times have definitely changed now because out on the market, there's some really cool handhelds and consoles that are just dedicated to emulated ROMs. You guys know how much I love my handheld gaming. I love the whole handheld vibe. And over the past couple of weeks, I've been doing some research into, some emulated handheld systems. And I finally went ahead and purchased one of these. I realized I just showed you a box. This is it. This is my newest handheld. It's the Anbernic RG35XX. And it's pretty awesome. So what is the Anbernic RG35XX? That is a crazy model number, but whatever. What is this little guy, right? So this is a handheld emulator and it's pretty dope. It does have a 3.5-inch screen, which is nice. It runs Linux as well. At the top of the handheld, it does have an HDMI out for the TV, so you can hook it up to the TV, do a little bit of multiplayer because you can also hook up a wireless gamepad to this little handheld. All of that is great, but the big thing about the Anbernic RG35XX, what a model number. The big thing about this little thing is the fact that it comes with over 5,000 games already preloaded onto the little handheld. That's crazy. To be more specific, there are 5,474 games already there for your enjoyment. That's great. The consoles that are supported on this handheld are the Famicom and Super Famicom. So of course you got the NES and the Super Nintendo. There are vertical arcade machine ROMs on here, PC Engine, Neo Geo Pocket Color, the Mega Drive, Genesis. Also the Master System is on here along with the Wonder Swan. And then you have some handhelds. Of course you have the Game Boy family of systems. So the Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance. There's also Game Gear games on here and PlayStation 1. I think that's pretty awesome. It's a wide array of like retro gaming, right? And I'm familiar with all of these consoles, but I have never played a Neo Geo Pocket Color game. I've never played a Wonder Swan game. So it definitely opens up a whole new world for me when it comes to retro gaming. So why did I end up going with this particular model? The first thing is just how cute it is. This thing is just so cute. It's so cute, right? Bite-sized, and the build quality is really good. It's very familiar to me. I'm looking at it and it's very familiar to other Game Boy handhelds, right? So we have here the original Game Boy, we have the old school Game Boy Color, and then the Game Boy Pocket. And I think it looks very similar to a Game Boy Pocket, right? It also comes in two other colors. This is the purple, the translucent purple, and it also comes in a white, which is basically see-through. It's translucent, and it also comes in a gray color. But I think this purple is dope. I also love the size of the screen on this handheld. It takes up a big portion of the handheld, and I love that about it. As I'm getting older, my eyes aren't what they were when I was in my teens and 20s, so it's good to have that screen there so I'm able to take in everything that's being presented, right? And I don't have to like squint and see what's going on. So I love that about it as well. I did talk about the build quality, but I do want to talk about how bite-sized it is. I love the size of this thing. It's great to take on the go. It's super easy to throw in your backpack, put in your purse, and just go, and pick up and play. So I love the portability of it, and it's also very comfortable to play, especially long play sessions. Haven't really had any problems. I didn't know how it was going to work because of course you can see we have our D-pad on here, and when we also have our face buttons, start, select, and then there's a menu button. But on the back, you have your triggers, which were a little off-putting. When I initially got this thing, I was like, wait, there's triggers on here. I don't know how this is going to work. It works super well. You have your R1, R2, and L1, L2 buttons, and they work well. When you need to use them, you can use them. Everything's good. I just really love how comfortable this is. The main reason why I went with this though, and this is a big reason, is because to me it feels like it's like almost like baby's first handheld emulator. If you're anything like me and you know absolutely nothing about emulation and ROMs and zipping and unzipping and all that good stuff, you're gonna feel comfortable with this. I was definitely able, because of the fact that it has over 5,000 games, I was able to turn this thing on and start playing and just enjoy myself, right? Of course, there's always the option to dig a little deeper, which I plan on doing over the summer. Actually, starting next month, maybe the end of this month, I definitely want to dive into this and something else that I have coming on the way, hopefully. But definitely want to dive in and dig a little deeper. There's a new OS on here. Speaking of OS, I think the OS for this is fine. You know, it's user friendly. When it comes to like being visually appealing, it's not. Sometimes it doesn't make any sense, but at the end of the day, it's functional. Main thing that I don't like about the Anbernic RG35XX is definitely the battery life. So you get up to 2-3 hours of battery life, but you will notice your battery draining if you don't completely shut down your handheld. And I don't necessarily like that about the handheld. This will kind of like stay on in the background, if that makes any sense, and your battery will drain. I also don't like the fact, and I know this might seem a little nitpicky because there's over 5,000 games on this thing, but I also don't like the fact on the OS that comes on this handheld off the break, right? I don't like the fact that games aren't ordered in alphabetical order. I think that's a little wild and it makes it hard to search for stuff. Of course, it's not, you know, a deal breaker or anything like that, because you can favorite games and then you can go in and find those favorite games that way. And like I also mentioned, you can search for games. But again, the visually appealing thing, like nothing's in alphabetical order. They're all kind of like numbered. And that's a little annoying. I also don't like the fact that not all of the games have little box art next to it. Again, that's a little nitpicky too, but I mean, I'm just being honest with you. I'm really loving my first emulation handheld. It's like I'm taking a trip down memory lane and it's pretty cool. I'm still discovering all of the games that are available on this thing because there's over 5,000 of them, but I will say that there have been some games that I've come across and it's instantly took me back to when I was a kid again and just made me smile. Like I noticed that Michael Jackson's Moonwalker was on here and I was like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. It just made me smile. It brought me back to when I had that game on the Genesis. Same thing can be said for Road Rash 2. Like I remember getting Road Rash 2 for Christmas, I believe, in 1992. Yeah, it was definitely 1992. I got it for Christmas. And I also, this is how I know, I also got the Bodyguard soundtrack, the movie, The Bodyguard. Those of you that don't know, I love Whitney Houston. I got that. It wasn't a CD, it was the tape. I got the tape for Christmas that same year. And I remember playing Road Rash 2 and I would turn the sound down and listen to that Bodyguard tape. I did that like all of winter break, you know, all the way up until the summertime, you know, the next year I was playing Road Rash 2. So it's just been really awesome taking these trips down memory lane. It really has. This is relatively cheap as well. You can get it off of Amazon for like 80 bucks, or you can go onto Anbernic's website and purchase it for 60, but I also feel like you have to pay shipping as well. So those are my thoughts on the Anbernic RG35XX. Really am enjoying my time with it. I also got my husband to play some of this too, since it has like nothing but old school games on it. Although it is missing Mario, I do want to point that out. You won't see any Mario games on this bad boy, right? But you'll get Sonic, you'll get Kirby, some Kirby. But yeah, I have let my husband play it and he's been enjoying it as well. Now, within the next couple of months, probably sometime in the summer, I do want to purchase an analog pocket, just so I can play the games that I have for my Game Boy on that natively. I've showed you my Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance collection, so I would love to play those carts, you know, on the analog pocket, because that looks like a really cool piece of hardware as well. If you guys have any experience with any of these emulation handhelds, let me know. Let me know what you think about emulation in general. As always, I want to thank all of you for watching this video, and I'll check you next time. Peace.